All righty. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Chase Boddicker with Mesa County Public Health. And today I'm going to be going through our What to Expect series for 2026. And this will speak to what you can see upcoming this year with Mesa County Public Health, and what that means for y'all, and what other good updates we have for you. All right. So what is the agenda? The agenda today is how to pay for your license renewal in 2026. That will include, different methods for payment, how that all works, the civil penalty schedule for any outstanding license renewals, right? If we don't pay for our license, right, we may have some civil penalties associated with that. So we'll go through that process. Mobile unit renewals, right? We're going to go through how to renew your mobile unit license and some different things we're going to be doing there. What to expect at your upcoming inspection, right? Some updates we have as comparing violations from 2024 to 2025 and what trends we're seeing with those specific violations. And then what to expect at special events in 2026. So, first and foremost, our license renewals. So your current license for 2025 is going to expire on December 31st of 2025. Our licenses, they're not prorated, so they're good for a calendar year. So they're going to be expiring on December 31st. So we have sent out the invoices so that way you can pay for your license and continue to operate and do all the good things. If you plan to operate in 2026, you must renew by December 31st. So if you're going to operate in this next year, you want to renew by December 31st. Any license holders who have not paid by January 1st of 2026 will start moving down the civil penalty path, and we'll cover that in the upcoming slides. Options for payment. We got a couple. First one is you can pay in person at 510 29.5 Road here in Grand Junction. It's a great way to come down to our office. If you have questions, you can ask questions then, pay for your license, and then get ready for operations for the next year. You can pay by check in the mail. One thing to keep in mind there is that all checks need to be payable to Mesa County Public Health. And then lastly, you can pay online, which is another great option. And in upcoming slides, we'll cover how to do that. So what does the civil penalty pathway look like? Well, what you'll notice is that on November 16th, we invoiced all of our folks, and renewal information was mailed to each business for the payment due on the 31st. So we definitely reached out to everybody, let them know, hey, this is your invoices for your next year's license, and we're going to need to receive payment so we can continue to operate the way we have been. And then if say we don't receive payment by January 2nd, the first notice of violation will be mailed to all unpaid businesses to remind them, hey, we got to make sure we're paying for our license to operate so we can continue operations. And then if, say, February 1st rolls around, we still haven't received payment, you'll receive a second notice of violation mailed to the business, and a civil penalty of $250 will be assessed for non-payment. This process continues up until the 27th there in February. Then a third and final notice of violation and a civil penalty of $500 will be assessed for non-payment. Lastly, if by March 15th we still haven't received payment, in addition to all the civil penalties that have been assessed, the business will be referred to the county's attorney for additional follow-up. We really don't foresee that happening. And if you do have concerns or issues with licenses, please reach out to us so that way we can address your needs as quickly as possible and get you what you guys need to continue to operate. So as I talked about, our online payment, right? So you'll receive your invoice in the mail, and when you receive that invoice, it'll have a number associated with it. That's your invoice number. And then you will take that invoice number and you will enter it into our website, myhealthdepartment.com/Mesa County CO there on the screen. And you will put your invoice number, and you'll need to log in or sign up for an account. Once you put the number, you'll be able to submit your payment online using your payment information, and then you can continue to operate, and you'll see your license to operate. You'll get a mailed copy sent out to you, so that way you'll have a physical copy and we'll have record of payments received. So mobile unit renewals. Yeah, we're doing this one a little different this year, right? Mobile units such as food trucks, push carts, trailers, and the like must submit renewal paperwork this coming year. This will give us some updates about your operations, how you've been operating, and if any changes have been made. So it'll be coming to you in the mail, or you can grab it off our website. That's always a good way to get a hold of it. And then we will make sure to process it once we receive it, right? Once you return the form when you're ready, we will assess everything on there and then get back to you. But you want to make sure you return the form when you're ready to operate in 2026. Some of our mobile units are very seasonal, so they have only a small span throughout the year they're actually operating. So we want to make sure that if you're not operating until said time, we're aware of that. So that's why we're not going to invoice you until we receive that paperwork to be cognizant of the seasonality of that particular business. You will not receive your invoice for 2026 until this information is submitted, just to make sure we've covered that. This is just to avoid confusion about our operations and when we're operating, when we're not operating, and such, and meet the financial needs of our operators for those that are seasonal and may not be operating 24/7, 365 kind of deal there. All righty. So what does that paperwork look like? So as you see on the screen, those are the 3 pages you'll be filling out. Might be a little small text there, but I'll read you through what it says. That first page is the checklist, right? So it's going to make sure that you've gone through all these items, you've covered them, you filled out the questionnaire, commissary agreement, the acknowledgement, the full menu is provided, and you've completed all the other information needed. That second page is the actual questionnaire itself. So what you'll notice is it'll ask for the make, model of the equipment, what kind of trailer or mobile unit you have. And then we will ask for what your preferred language is, so we can serve the language equitability of our community and communicate with you in the best way possible, right? And then you want to put the owner's name, email, and mailing address in case we need to update our records, so we're sending in stuff to the right location. So that way we're able to communicate with you, and if things come up, we can address them in a very timely manner. Next, you'll have the rest of the questionnaire to finish out, and then you'll have the acknowledgments, right? As with any retail food establishment operating here in the great state of Colorado, you may not prepare food, store food at your private residence, right? We can't do that. We need to find a proper location to conduct business, and that's not there, and it needs to be a commercial environment. You'll make sure that you have enough hot water to operate during the event. This is huge. If you are going to be running a 5-6 hour event, make sure you have enough water capacity for that need. So that way you have hot water. Because if you don't have hot water and you're not able to wash your hands effectively, that would be grounds for a closure, right? Because we have to be able to clean our hands effectively to continue to operate. And then, being cognizant we have capacity to keep food at or below 41 degrees if it's kept cold, or at or above 135 degrees if it's kept hot. Do you have the equipment to meet that need as part of your guys' businesses, right? So if you don't, or if you have concerns or questions, reach out to us so we can address it as soon as possible. All righty. So the next section is 2020-25 overview. I think I said 2020-25. I don't know. 2025. Sorry. Most common violation and program updates. All righty. So 2024 versus 2025. What were our violation percentages, right? The first item we're going to cover is item 22, cold holding. And we saw a bit of an uptick from about 39% up to like 43, 44% there. And biggest reasons we see that is we have to make sure that we are monitoring food temperatures in our establishment. And really what that comes down to is keeping an eye on food directly using a probe thermometer to take direct temperatures of the food and ensure that it's below 41 degrees. And in addition to that, some other tips: make sure we're cleaning our condensers on our unit, because if those condensers get really encrusted with debris and such, it can affect their ability to operate effectively. And then also we want to make sure that if, say, we have a unit that's too full of food and it's not able to circulate the air properly, we address our storage practices to prevent storage issues or cold holding issues, I should say. So those are some things that we see that you guys can address to ensure safety of our food and it's at below 41 degrees. Again, if you need resources on this, we have plenty, and we'd be more than happy to address your specific situation and what you may need. The next item we saw an increase in between 2024 and 2025 was hand washing. This went from about, again, 31% up to about 35, 36%. So pretty big jump there. And why do we see it? Well, we have to make sure we wash our hands effectively. And what that means is we rinse our hands, apply soap, rub together for at least 10 to 15 seconds, rinse them again, and dry them. Sometimes this whole process will observe lasting maybe 5-10 seconds or only a few seconds. And if the whole process is not lasting that long, there's probably going to be an issue with our hand washing. We have to wash our hands effectively to be able to continue serving safe food. So 20 seconds, get a full hand wash, take that time, and then you should be good to go. In addition, we want to wash our hands if we touch our clothes, if we touch our face, if we touch any unclean surface, if we touch dirty dishes before we touch clean dishes. Anytime you feel as if, or there's an event where we've contaminated our hands, we want to get a good hand wash before we continue to operate. If you're unsure, ask during the inspection process, or ask prior to the inspection. If you see something day to day and you want our assistance, reach out to us so we can definitely address it there. So the next item, we've actually saw a decrease, which is really awesome to see. So we saw a decrease from about 35-ish% down to 31% with our date marking. Yeah, so this is going really well. And you guys are doing such a great job. So congratulations to you for putting in that hard work and keeping an eye on this stuff. Just as a reminder, if you're wondering, do I need to date something? Ask yourself 2 questions. 1, is this ready to eat? Meaning I can grab it, eat it, it's good to go. Don't need to cook it or process it anymore. And number 2, does it need temperature control? Now, of course, there's the items that are pretty universally known to need some temperature control, like our deli meats that are need to be refrigerated, or say our soft cheeses or cut lettuce, cut tomatoes, cooked foods like cooked vegetables, that kind of thing. Those are pretty established, but sometimes we get things from our manufacturer and they say keep refrigerated. In those cases, just defer to the manufacturer's instructions. If they're saying, hey, you got to make sure that the food is kept cold and it's also ready to eat food, I would treat it as if it needs dating. And again, with the dating, we have a total of 7 days, but the day of prep is day 1. So always add 6 calendar days. So if I make something on the 1st, I get rid of it on the 7th. That's 6 calendar days, but since the day of prep is day 1, technically it's 7. So you don't want to go, the first I make it and I get rid of it on the 8th. You just want to make sure it's 6 calendar days. And that should dispel any confusion with the 7 days there. Next is item number 10, that's hand washing sinks. So again, a decrease, excellent. We love to see decreases in violation rates between 24 and 25, right? We saw 32 down to what looks like 25. So again, excellent job. You guys are really doing such an awesome work out there. And really, when it comes to hand washing sinks, a few things we see are they don't have signage, right? We have signage that says employees must wash their hands before they continue to operate, are in our food establishment. In addition, hand washing sinks need to be used for the purpose of hand washing only. So we don't fill our cups there. We don't dump things down there. We don't, store our cleaning equipment on the rim. We just use it for hand washing. And the main reason for that is we need to make sure our hand washing sinks are the cleanest place in the entire establishment. We want them to be safe and effective for hand washing and hand washing alone. And then lastly is going to be the temperature, right? We have to be able to have our hand washing sinks deliver water at minimum of 85 degrees. So if it feels really cold on your hands and you're not sure why it's so cold, definitely something to talk to your manager about. Or if you are the manager, contact somebody, that, hey, I need a plumber to come out here and give me some hot water because I have an issue with delivery and I need that. Okay. So some other things, certified food protection manager certification. As most of you guys are aware, right? We have to have an employee with this certification available at all times. So it's best to have multiple employees with the certification that are able to, take control of the establishment if need be, if someone has to step out or someone's sick. So that way we have food safety around the clock during operating hours. There are currently 12 different programs, good ones. There's ServSafe, there's State Food Safety, and many others. So make sure that if you're wondering where you can take the course, you can reach out to us, and we can give you the list of 12 different programs you can take, and they were really good ones to have. The certification lasts 5 years. So keep an eye on it. You get it this year on 2025, then by 2030, you're due. So you want to keep an eye on that and try to keep ahead of the curve, right? Maybe at that 4.5 year mark, you're in the course so you can be recertified, and then you don't have a lapse in your certification. Keep an eye out for the in-person exams. Sometimes in-person courses and exams are taught here in Mesa County or somewhere about on the western half of the state. And for folks that need to take the course, we will push that information out to you and let you know. If you're wondering when the next one is, reach out to us and we can give you the most up-to-date information there. In addition, one thing we're doing is we're able to proctor the exam in person. We don't teach the course, but we proctor the exam session. So if you need that, we have it available and you can reach out to us for details. And then also what we've done is study sessions with a proctoring session, which is excellent because you've taken the course, right? And you want to study up right before you have that exam. We sometimes have those courses. We just did have one, and it was a huge success for folks. They had a good study session with us before they continued on. So that was excellent. So let's just, we want to make sure we have our certified food protection manager on site. If you have questions, let us know. Manufacturer's cooking instructions. So this one is a little more common now that we've had this provision added to the food code. And essentially, commercially packaged foods that have cooking instructions must be prepared per set instructions. And some of those instructions, they have cook temperatures on them. And if it has a cook temperature on it, that's the temperature you cook it to. So it says cook to 165, you cook to 165. In addition, some of them will just say keep frozen. They don't have an instruction on them, or they say not ready to eat on them. So you want to cook them as if they are raw, and whatever raw food they are, you cook them as such. So if you get some chicken wings that say keep frozen, not ready to eat, but there's not a cook temperature associated with them, cook them to 165 degrees, right? You want to make sure to fully cook that product so it's safe for folks to eat. And if you have questions, feel free to let us know. This is kind of an evolving provision as more and more manufacturers have instructions on their food products. So definitely ask us, and we'd be more than happy to help you there. All right, next one is allergens, right? The FDA recognizes 9 allergens that we need to be aware of, such as milk, eggs, fish, crustacean shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, soy, and sesame. So we want to ensure that we communicate to our consumers what major allergens we're using as ingredients in our food items on the menu, whether this through like a placard somewhere, some posted signage on the deli case, on the menu itself. You just need to have a written notification for people to be able to read through and kind of understand what foods are going to be best for them and ones to avoid. The other part of this is that as the person in charge, the manager, what have you, right? You want to make sure that your staff is educated on how to prevent that allergen from reaching the customer. Really, what that means is just get you new utensils, new equipment when an allergy order comes through, or have a manager, producer, or what have you with the specific training to prevent folks from getting in contact with the allergen that can get them sick, right? We don't want them to have an allergic reaction during their time with us. It'd be very dangerous for them and not conducive to happy and excellent environment in the retail food space. Compliance model, right? So this is our next portion of our program. What does the inspection model look like? So you'll have your routine inspection, which happens annually, right? And it's unannounced. And if, say, we don't pass, we have a reinspection. We don't pass again, we have another reinspection, and potentially a closure. So you really want to make sure you're passing that routine inspection by continuing to address food safety, making sure we have systems in place for it. That's what we want to have. And if we have enough things that are wrong during an inspection that it's like really out of control and it's really not safe for food, then there may be a closure during that. And that can happen when we have too many violations or we have extreme events, such as we don't have hot water, right? As I talked about with our mobile units during the renewal portion of this presentation. And so, in addition, if we have 4 out of 5 of the past inspections within the calendar year resulted in a reinspection, that also can result in a closure, which we want to avoid if at all possible. So definitely, if you have questions during the inspection, let us know. And if it results in a reinspection, that's not the end of the world. It just means we can correct some things and we can build some better systems as a team and be set up for success in the future. So what are the different inspection types you're going to go through? Well, the first one there on the screen is the pre-operational inspection. These are for our new establishments, right? This is basically an evaluation of the establishment to ensure that the facilities can produce food safely. All the equipment works, everything is in order. We have our different policies and procedures in place to produce food safely. And then after you pass that, of course, you guys will do great and you'll pass them all, right? And then you'll have your first routine inspection. This is about 30 to 60 days after we open, just to make sure, okay, we've opened, we're ready to operate. What does this look like? What is a routine like? And is there areas that we can address or maybe continue to build upon and create a more, refined system if needed? Or is everything perfect, right? We never know what we may see next during that process. Next is the one most folks that are watching this as operators are most familiar with, the routine. Just an unannounced inspection, a point in time, a snapshot of your operations and how the place runs, and if there's areas that we need to address. And next is the reinspection. Yeah, if there's enough things that are out of compliance, right, we may need to come back and you'll have a full additional inspection within 7 to 30 days. So expect you'll see us again. We'll let you know what violations were noted and how to correct them and give you some resources and some guidance on doing so. And then we'll just come back to ensure, yes, they've been corrected. We can continue on and produce food safely, and then we'll see you again later on. And then the other ones at the bottom there are the complaint/foodborne illness inspection. These can occur as a result of complaint or reported foodborne illness. And in that, we remain very objective, as if we don't really know what's all going on right now, do we? So we're just trying to gather some information and address it. If we don't know what's happening yet, we really want to make sure we have some sort of guidance before we communicate with you as the operators to what's happening here. We're just trying to find the source, and that way mitigate the risk if it exists. So definitely, we're just trying to work through it, and if there's an issue, we'll address it as a team, and we can move on. All right, inspection reports. So yes, the reports, once they're done, are made publicly available at the website on the screen, right? So that way our community can engage with inspection reports and kind of get a feel for what's out there and educate themselves for their own sakes. So the next section of this presentation is for our food vendors, right? So we have a thriving event season in Colorado. It is known throughout the country. I believe it's one of the top states in the nation for the amount of fairs and festivals that we have. So that's super awesome. So how can food vendors at those events, festivals, and what have you be set up for success, right? So we're going to go through that next. So do I need to apply? It's a good question, right? Do I even need a license for the things I'm doing, or what are we doing here? So I'll go through that with you. So food trucks licensed in Mesa County do not need to apply again with Mesa County Public Health unless a tent and table operation will be set up in front of the truck, outside of the truck, I should say. Right? If you're doing something and it's set up outside the scope of those 4 walls that you were approved for in your original plans, then yes, you will need to fill out the temporary vendor application. So that way we make sure the equipment out there is still able to produce food safely. You have the right stuff, and stuff that's outside the mobile unit is just as safe as stuff that's inside the mobile unit. Next is food trucks licensed in other counties don't need to apply with Mesa County Public Health unless they have the table and tent operation. So if they have something that's outside the scope of what they're approved in, say, Delta County or some other county, what have you, then we'll definitely want to be in contact with them, have them fill out the application, and just see what we're working with here. Food trucks licensed outside of Mesa County, outside of Colorado, I should say, must submit a temporary event vendor application. Yes. If you're licensed in Utah, Wyoming, Kansas, we do not have reciprocity for your license. Different food codes are applicable there. So that way we want to make sure that we have ability to review your plans and make sure that they can be amendable to meet the Colorado retail food establishment regulations. So that's how it works there for our food trucks licensed outside of our state. Table and tent operators, of course, you are the main folks that are going to be filling out the temporary event vendor application. So let's go through that. So how long will it take? Well, a vendor application can take at least 2 weeks to process. It can be sooner depending on how detailed the information is inside the original application. So make sure once you fill out the application, you fill it out entirely detailed, get us a menu, get us a layout, so that way we have everything we need to be able to properly assess it and get you approved as soon as possible. So during our peak influx, this is in particularly important because our 2-week process could take longer, especially at the right before event season really kicks off. You know, that late spring. That's going to be a lot of folks reaching out to us, and so we really want to make sure that we're able to approve those plans as efficiently as possible. So make sure that A, the sooner the better, and B, you fully fill out the application before you submit it to us, because incomplete applications will not be processed until they're complete. You know, we'll reach out to you with questions, and we'll need to get those items verified before approval. But the more details we have in the original plans, the better we can assess and get you your approval as soon as possible. Applications must be received at least 2 weeks prior to the event if you want to attend. We need enough time to be able to review the plans, get you approved. And late applications, they may not get approved in time for the required event, for the requested event, I should say. And if they're not approved, then we can't operate. So really, the name of the game is the sooner the better, so we can support you. License types. So there's 2 different license types for our temporary event vendors. So one is limited, the other is full. And this is all dependent on the menu. So if, say, I'm just doing cotton candy or maybe some coffee drinks with like creamer and stuff like that, you're going to fit the limited license type. And then if, say, I have burgers, hot dogs, burritos, like the whole 9, I'm really have a very expansive menu, then that's going to be a full service. So that's going to be where we have our differentiation between different license types. If you're unsure, feel free to reach out to us, and we will be happy to help you assess that. Of course, during the approval process, we'll also assess that and confirm things with you as to whether you fall into the limited or full service license type. So why do I need to be approved? Not only do you need to be approved so that way you are approved to serve food safely, and we have some oversight in that process, but the City of Grand Junction Parks and Recreation Department oversees general vendor approval for all Mesa County, and as a portion of that, as you can see on the screen, Mesa County approved is one of their sections. So they'll definitely want to make sure that you've gone through the inspection process, or the permitting process, I should say, with Mesa County before you're ready to go with them. Right? All vendors, in addition to Mesa County Public Health approval, also receive vendor approval from the City of Grand Junction. We work very closely with them to make sure folks have that approval and everything's in order before they operate. The application for vendor approval can be found on the City of Grand Junction's website. If you see the link there in that slide, you can go to that website and it will get you to the space you need for the application. So set up for success. What are the on-site requirements once you're at the event? Number one, most important, kind of bases everything we do, right? You must follow food safety guidelines as specified in the Colorado Food Code. Number 2, hand washing sinks with safe water, soap, and paper towels must be available. People use that igloo you'll see on your screen, fill out with water with a spigot you can turn, not one you press, and then you'll have soap, water, a bucket to catch it, and you can wash your hands effectively temporarily for the event, of course, so you can continue to operate. You'll have gloves or other food handling equipment so we can avoid using our bare hands, and we have proper equipment to handle stuff to prevent any contamination. A thermometer, right? A probe thermometer is going to be your best friend in this process, right? So you can take direct temperatures of food, whether it's cooking, whether you're reheating it, whether you are keeping it cold, keeping it hot. You can just make sure that's at the right temperatures and safe for consumption. Effective refrigeration and hot holding. Yeah, make sure our refrigerator works, right? We have to be able to keep food cold if we're keeping it cold, and keep food hot if we're keeping it hot. A sufficient number of dishes or ware washing capacities. What we usually suggest is multiple sets of equipment. So if I have a set of tongs that I'm using, I would have like 3 or 4 sets of tongs for the event, and every few hours I would just switch them out. So I would just have multiple sets of equipment, or if you're going to have ware washing capacities, make sure you have the right amount of equipment needed to effectively wash, rinse, and sanitize equipment. Sufficient sanitizing test strips, right? You have to have those test strips so you can accurately test like a vitamin cloth bucket or a sanitizing solution to ensure that it's going to effectively kill off microbes. So definitely having that available is going to be very helpful. Protection from the environment. As you see on the slide there seems to be a 10, right? We want to protect from the environment, including flies, dust, excessive heat. So covers for your food between orders is also a great idea. We just got to prevent the external environment, right, from affecting the food inside our tent. So some considerations with that, fire, extreme weather, and more. We've got a lot of things that can happen here in Colorado. Colorado has very tumultuous weather patterns. It could be hot, then cold, then sleet, then snow, and heck, you could have a thunderstorm. It all seems like it happened in the same day, which is quite wild to think about. So if you're cooking with grease, this requires a Class K, again, a Class K, the specific type of fire extinguisher. You want that so that way you can put out the fire efficiently, and that way it doesn't spread and injure anyone or damage anything. Can your refrigerator keep up with 107-degree ambient temperature? It stays over 100 degrees for almost a month solid here in Mesa County. The months of June, July, August, and September can be extremely hot and brutal. So we got to make sure that we have equipment that can survive that, because it's a very extreme heat that we see on a yearly basis. Is there heavy rain or wind in the forecast? Plan accordingly for the day of the event. Have a plan in case you have inclement weather that is going to prevent you from operating. You want to keep an eye on that. It's extremely important that you do so. So the inspection results. Well, failure to comply with food safety standards can result in the closure of your food operations, right? Same as a brick and mortar establishment. If we're not producing safe food, then, well, we can't continue to operate the way we have been. And so examples of that include you have no water, soap, paper towels, you don't have the things to wash your hands, then we can't continue to operate. Other example there is selling food outside the scope of your license. Like if you are license limited, as we discussed, and then you're serving the hot dog, the burrito, the hot hamburger, that wasn't approved for. So that can result in the closure until we get the right equipment and pay for the right license. Or if we do things like we're making our own beef jerky, things that require even more oversight in the retail food space, definitely going to result in the closure. So if you're having issues, reach out to us, have a plan, have a backup in case things go awry so you can continue to operate. And then we will, take it from there depending on what we see on the given day. So this kind of is a good overview of what you'll be seeing during your time with us. And it leads us to ask, what can we do to support you? How can we support you? And either that's resources, education, conversation, right? If you need something for food safety and you're not sure, reach out to us. And we may not always know the right answer, but in the moment, but we can get you the right answer. You give us some time, we'll do the research, we'll get you the information. And if we're not sure, we'll tell you so we can help address any of your food safety needs at any given time during operations. Alrighty. So I really thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this online recording of our What to Expect webinar series. So that's really excellent. If you have questions or concerns, you can reach out to us at our email there on the slide, environmental.health@mesacounty.us. And then our number, 970-683-6630. So if you need anything, please reach out to us and we will be happy to help you with any of your food safety needs. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.